live in the era of constant revivals. We are always trying to bring back something great from the past with a brand new look, recreating the creativity from the past with the technology of the present. In the gaming industry, this is very pronounced, mainly in two different ways: remasters and remakes. Generally speaking, a remaster is when you change or add some elements on top of an old game, and a remake is when you recreate the whole game from the ground up. In today's video I want to talk about remasters, in specific the ones we saw on the Switch this year, and how they were far from perfect. Not all remasters are made in the same way. I'll try to exemplify that with 3 different remasters that I've played this year.
First, Skyward Sword HD. You may call it a standard remaster. The same game was upscaled from 480p to 1080p with some small color adjustments, and the FPS was also upgraded from 30 FPS to 60 FPS. Outside of the visuals, the game received a lot of quality of life improvements and a new option to play it without motion controls. Second, Sonic Colors Ultimate. Here we have more upgrades, not only a better resolution, but the game received a new lighting system, new textures, and even some new models. The gameplay is mostly the same, but there's some new contents like a new power-up and a new mode where you race against Metal Sonic. And finally, Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. The 3 classic GTA games with a lot of changes, new lightings, new textures, and new models. They also received some quality of life improvements like free aim and checkpoints on missions.
Now, even though those 3 games, or 6 actually, were originally acclaimed, in 2021 they received a massive backlash. Not those games, but the remasters. You see, it's not that simple to create a remaster. Zelda, Sonic and Grand Theft Auto are franchises with a huge legacy. Fans know those games from start to finish. Every detail from every moment has been dissected during years after the game launch. And nowadays, even the average consumer is aware of technical terms like resolution, performance, emulation and engine. Thanks, Digital Foundry. If something looks fishy on a game, people will discover why, and that will look pretty bad. We have different kind of problems here. In Zelda's case, people were disappointed with the lack of visual improvements in the game, comparing it to the previous remasters in the series like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Wind Waker had a massive visual change with a new lighting system, and Twilight Princess HD recreated most of the textures from the original game. Even though I don't think Skyward Sword HD looks bad, most of the backlash was in response to the $60 price tag, which is valid seeing that Nintendo was offering a more basic remaster. Sonic and GTA had a different problem. It's almost the opposite. Sonic and GTA made too many changes, to a point that it is debatable if those really are the definitive versions of those experiences. As I said, fans are aware of every detail in those games, and any drastic changes from the original direction can easily destroy a remaster. When the new lighting changes the visual direction of a level on Sonic Colors, or when it makes a scene so dark in GTA San Andreas that it is hard to actually see the faces in the cutscene. Simply upgrading the technology behind the game is no guarantee of a better final product. The terrible rain effect on GTA 3 totally kills the moods, not to mention that it makes it impossible to see the screen. In a less problematic way, the lack of some visual effects on Sonic Colors Ultimate results in a remaster that looks less polished than the Wii game from 2010. I'm just citing some of the problems here. The GTA Trilogy in particular has a lot of them. NPCs looking off, glitches, frame rate issues, worse on the Switch version, and other very specific problems. In cases like these, I think there's a serious lack of attention to what made the originals great in the first place. Any kind of remastering demands a lot of studies. A profound understanding of the original project is needed. It's not that easy to analyze everything in the game and decide what needs to be preserved and what needs to be improved. Technology like AI for textures and models, emulation, and new lighting systems are great, but you can't simply add them to an existing game without a lot of adjustments, to make sure that in every moment of the experience, everything will work as planned. If not, the final game ends up looking like a Frankenstein, with new and old elements mixed together without too much thought given to it. That's why, at the end of the day, Skyward Sword HD was my favorite remaster this year. Even though Tantalus didn't change a lot in the graphics, the adjustments to the pacing of the experience were perfect. It gave me the impression that they knew very well the problems of Skyward Sword and tried their best to improve it, in a way that I can't go back to the original Wii version of the game. If I could have a version of Sonic Colors Ultimate and the GTA Trilogy without any changes in lighting and models, but running at 1080p 60 FPS on my Switch, I would much prefer it, to be honest. Now, I must admit, I also had a lot of fun with Colors Ultimate, and I'm having fun playing the GTA trilogy right now. But the thing is, that's just because of the elements from the original game underneath the new makeup. The crazy thing is, we are seeing companies not giving enough value to their own legacy, and I have some suspicions as to why that. The first thing is that those remasters are always seen as small and B-sized projects, given to an outsourced team, and I don't think that's the problem. Usually with those teams, they have a lot of respect and passion for those games. I think the problem is when the big publishers want to put the remasters in the market as soon as possible, releasing them in a clearly unfinished state. I imagine the crazy amounts of work the developers from Groove Street Games had remastering 3 completely different games for basically all the systems in the market, from the Switch to the PS5 and Series X. It's actually insane. On top of that, with the terrible situation we had since last year, it must have been a big problem for those small studios adapting to a work from home situation. We know that even big companies like Nintendo struggle with this. And with the product already on the market, we receive many promises of updates to correct the game, or better saying, to actually finish the game. And in my opinion, that's far from ideal and actually disrespectful with fans that bought the product on day one. I hope that we don't see more situations like that in the future. The Pokemon remake will release very soon, and to be 100% honest, things aren't looking very good. If you have any interest in that topic, take a look at this video right here about the approach of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Until next time guys, bye!